Let me thank him in his absence, our Lieutenant Governor, who has been a tremendous partner, especially when it comes to minority business and expanding business opportunities in Maryland and focusing on Prince George's County. He also was our leader on the BRAC and the realignment of the base foreclosures around the country. And for us in Prince George's County, that's a big deal. Because if you look at Joint Base Andrews and the opportunities that are going to spur from that, that means for you and your businesses the opportunity to take advantage of that. Certainly we in the county are going to put dollars around that, so I want to thank him in his absence for doing a great job, and I know he thanks those of you here at the community college for giving him a short commute to this morning's event. What can I say about, and I think he described it right, I think I'm going to use this from now on, my partner in helping to move Prince George's County forward, the council chair. Isn't she just absolutely wonderful? Can you give her a round of applause? She is, I mean, you talk about a true partner who's taken over the realms of the chairmanship, which as a former chair of a House delegation, it is not the easiest thing in the world to do. You know, it's one thing when you're sitting on the fifth floor and you're the guy in charge. It's another to get your colleagues to understand how they not only help their individual districts, but get your colleagues to understand that the county as a whole has to move forward. And so that's a tough job. I had it for 4 years, and that's why I left Annapolis. She's had it for less than a year, and I haven't seen anyone do a better job than she has about moving them forward and getting things done. In addition to that, you know, she felt so sorry for me, you know, and the fact that I was up there and I was lonely, that she decided she would actually come out and run with me and the cadets, and she has been a tremendous one. In fact, the cadets like her more than they like me. They were, you know, we were on this last run, and they were like, oh, she is great. It was just inspiring to see her, you know, do these 2 miles as these new class come in. And I said to them, well, you know, I did this last year with you guys. They said, yeah, whatever. No, but she's tremendous. Let's give her another round of applause. I love her. My good friend and classmate, Carl Brown, you've done a tremendous job. It is good to see that you have not changed since college. And that's a good way. You know, we know Carl, myself and our CEO, Brad Seaman, as a businessman. We knew him as a student at Howard University, where he was one of the brightest students there. He actually ran in the same circle as my wife, not with me. I was behind them. But so we were pleased to see that he was bringing the type of work he did at WMATA in building their program and teaming up with community college to expand opportunities for your business here. So I want to thank you for the work that you're doing and for being a part of this great college and this great county. He talked about, and I think the Lieutenant Governor talked about, this conference is about how do you get opportunities? How do you get contracts? How do you make money? That's really what it's about. You know, I ran a nonprofit for 10 years. I was general counsel for a nonprofit for 10 years, and then ran another one, a K through 12 nonprofit, for 7 years. And when I went to conferences, my number one goal was how do I expand my, bottom line? You know, how do we get opportunities? Not just how do you fill out a form, you know, how do you just come to a nice breakfast and hear people speak, but how do you walk away with actual work? Because that's what it's about. If you can't keep your doors open, you can't provide the services that you know people deserve. So one of the things I wanted to do as county executive is to bring somebody in who had experience at giving away dollars. Because there's a big difference between people who has experience giving away dollars and those of us where I was always on the begging end. I'm doing that now as county executive. I'm always on the begging end. But I wanted somebody who understood what they were looking for, what are the opportunities, And that's why we went out and we recruited my good friend Roland Jones to head up our minority business. So as I said, today is about expanding business opportunities. One of the things we're doing in this administration, I'll talk about three things real quick and I'll get out your way. The first is something that the council chair and I and the county council have done, and that is we brought up a $50 million economic development incentive fund. No other place in this region has a $50 million incentive fund. The council approved $7 million last year. And then this year, in the budget that I've sent down to them, we have another $11 million. What that means for local, minority, small businesses is that you now have a greater opportunity at actual dollars and assistance. Most of the money that will come out of there, in both Roland's shop and Gwen McCall, who's our president of the Economic Development Corporation, most of those loans or grants are going to be in the $250,000 to $500,000 price range. That means for small businesses, opportunities for you. This is not about the huge, big companies. It's about your opportunities to get in there and to grow your business. So we're excited about that. So imagine you take the $50 million incentive fund and you team that with another thing that we just announced a few weeks ago, transforming our neighborhoods, where the county is going to target 6 underserved, in-need communities throughout Prince George's County that happen to be around metro stations and transit-oriented development, where we're going to target not only money from economic development, but dollars from public safety, dollars from health care, dollars from transportation in those areas. So that means for you, if you have a business that's providing a service in these target areas throughout Prince George's County, this is opportunities for you to help us. We know government can't do it all. That's why we're putting the dollars in there. So you take the $50 million incentive fund, you take our targeting limited resources on those neighborhoods, and you're going to help us transform Prince George's County. And that's what we want to see happen. And so we're excited about that. The last thing I'll talk about, and before I do, I'd like to, in case he doesn't get introduced, I see my good friend and my neighbor, our former state's attorney, Glenn Ivey here. If we can give him a round of applause. You know, he has my godson, so, you know, I want to make sure he's recognized, and I want to make sure he does well. In fact, you know, we want to make sure, Glenn, you make a lot of contacts here because, you know, Troy deserves the best. They always get me. They say, you know what, you always plug your personal stuff in there. The last thing I'll talk about, and the lieutenant governor alluded to it, and that is, he said he was on his way to, you know, cover my flank. And I told him, please go, because we need them to have a special session, one to deal with the budget and the other to deal with revenue. And so what my hope is, he's down there telling the governor and the presiding officers that please come back because Prince George's County will be the hardest hit if the doomsday budget goes into effect. We already closed a $126 million budget deficit. Now, the way we did that was we asked every department, except for public safety and education, to take a hit. The community college and Dr. Dukes were gracious enough to be very generous in what they asked for. And we'd like to give them more, and programs like this will help us. But everyone but public safety and education took a 5% cut. Again this year. They had a 5% cut last year. So that means transportation and public works, that means health care, that means social services, that means family services. Every single department took a cut. Money we provide to nonprofits, a cut. So we closed a $126 million budget deficit. If the General Assembly's budget goes in, we'll find $52 million we would have to find in this county this year. That would be devastating. So I told him, go there, get a special session, pass the budget, but then come back. Come back, because I need you to come back. I need 2 of those the governor's talked about. Because you can't just pass the budget where you've already sent, expenses down to the county. So I need you to talk about revenues, because we need money to flow into the county. And part of that conversation is going to be about whether, in fact, we expand gaming in the state of Maryland. And whether, in fact, as I look at the National Harbor, I didn't set this up this way. It just happens to be National Harbor is staring at me. Whether, in fact, we set up a destination resort in Prince George's County that can be an economic engine for us to spur business at National Harbor. So I told him, go down there because we need the money. $69 million is what we would get with a destination resort. $69 million a year, which would provide us with opportunities to expand businesses. I bring it up this morning in closing because one of the things that the council chair talked about was their commitment to expanding local and minority business and opportunity. Part of what the requirement is, whether, as the council chair said, whether you're for expanding gaming or not, if it happens, the commitment from the county and from the county council is that we would look at the percentage. We've learned from some mistakes we've made in the past when we've seen business opportunities come to Prince George's County, and it seems like none of the businesses in Prince George's County ever got an opportunity to do any work there, is that if this comes to pass, our commitment is we would look at local businesses that can provide these opportunities, not just in the construction phase, but also in the service phase and also in the economic incentive phase. So the council is talking about a 50%, raising our bar to 50%. The state is raising theirs to 35%. And I want to thank the new secretary for being here. She's got a lot of work on her plate, but they've been tremendous partners in leading the effort, and we're going to do our part. So I say at every opportunity that comes to Prince George's County, we will keep you in mind, and what we hope today is that you network, you find new friends, but more importantly, you walk away from here today with an opportunity to make money. With that, thank you. Thanks for the work you're doing. Thank you, Dr. Duke.